is the invite the tech world could not wait to get, and now the iFrenzy has started. Okay, here it is, a little cryptic, and it has everybody iPhone 5. It translates, if you will, that on Tuesday, October 4th at 4 a.m., Apple will make a big announcement about the iPhone. This presentation will be the very first since the legendary CEO has stepped down, Steve Jobs stepped down. Here with what we can expect is early show tech expert Katie Lindow. Katie, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Always a big deal when Apple announces something, but this is so different and so important.
Oh my gosh, and no one owns the frenzy or the hoopla quite like the Apple brand. But Tuesday should be very interesting on a number of fronts. And first, let's start with hardware. Obviously, we're talking iPhone 5.
Right.
But we might also see an iPhone 4S. A little bit of incremental upgrades. We don't know if we're going to see one phone or if we're going to see two. And I think it's so interesting because the amount of websites, the amount of blogs, and people talking about what to expect. Even Al Gore was in on it this time around. Many people don't know that he sits on the Apple board, and he was giving a speech in South Africa about a week and a half ago, and he said, and how about those iPhones coming out next week? So we're all like, ooh, does that mean that there's multiple? So on the hardware side, very interesting. Also, a lot of people are thinking about this. Every September, they always do a refresh of the iPod line. So I think we have something exciting to see on Tuesday with that as well. But even more notably, in terms of presentation, as you said, this will be the first times we see Tim Cook now leading the presentation.
Now, if you're Tim Cook, do you come out there and you try to be Steve Jobs? Do you try the jeans and the black sweater? What do you do if you're Tim Cook?
It's a good question. You know, a lot of people are like, are we going to at least just see Steve Jobs come on, just even for a second? And I think his role, I think if Apple plays it right, will be very minimal, if at all, on Tuesday. I think maybe a video message at most. They need to make it clear that Tim is running the ship here now, and they are confident in him steering it. So I think Tim Cook plays Tim Cook. I don't think he tries to be Steve or anything, but I think he has the utmost respect for him. But let me tell you something. All eyes on him. The pressure is on for investors, and the pressure is on for the Apple brand to make this as absolutely smooth as possible.
I was going to ask you, what does announcing something like this mean to the Apple brand, mean to the value of the company?
It's huge. And, you know, I have to give you the statistics because it blew my mind. Last quarter, Apple had record revenue, 20.24 million iPhones alone. They hope to have about 16.5 million. If those sales keep going as they are, I mean, this is huge in terms of revenue. And people are like, oh my gosh, is this panic mode for Apple because Jobs is out? They're fine for a few years out the gate, but to replace an iconic man and his vision, he started with this brand in '76. It is huge shoes to fill. So for Cook, you know, I think, yes, a few years out, they're fine. But for long term, it's a bigger question.
Okay, you talked about we could see multiple versions of the iPhone.
Yes.
When it gets announced on Tuesday. Let's talk about the iPhone 5. What's going to be in it?
Yeah, so let's talk iPhone 5 or 4S. What are the different changes that we're going to see? So in terms of features, we're always going to see a little sleeker. We're always going to see a little bit different design. They're going to put a little different processor on, probably the same one they use in the iPad. All that means for you is it's going to be a little bit faster. Also, big one for me is the camera. Right now we have a 5-megapixel camera in the iPhone. We're going to see probably an 8-megapixel and also the capability to take high-def video. That could be huge. Also, we're going to see something probably called Assistant, which allows you to have advanced voice recognition feature. If you want to email somebody, you want to text somebody just using your voice, you're likely going to have that option. And also, this is probably coming to Sprint. Sprint may be the only one to have a full data package, unlimited, which would be really nice because they haven't seen the iPhone yet. So I think there's going to be incremental changes, but ones to be excited about.
Okay, now this is announced on Tuesday. When do you think we'll actually see it in the stores?
I think we give it about a week, and the funny thing about it is Apple employees are actually being told that this is speculation, that they cannot take vacation from October 9th to the 12th and also the 13th and 14th, the 14th and 15th. So in that window, probably safe to say iPhone will be at retail.
And I'm going to guess, too, just like is in the case most times when these things come out, you're not going to be able to get one at first, or a lot of people will not be able to get one at first.
I like to say, if you go to the Apple store, it's always crazy. I say order it online. They come pretty fast. But I also have to say, when we talk about this, what's so funny to me is there's so much hoopla about Apple product announcements. As soon as that iPhone 5 or whatever it is announced, somebody will be talking about the iPhone 6. It won't be a millisecond after.
That's true. I asked Rebecca to bring you one back from China, an iPhone 6.
She failed.
She failed.
I asked a lot of people.
Yeah. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks.
Next time. We're going to talk about some other quirky inventions coming up soon. This is the Early Show on CBS.